Hello, I'm Bernadette Wagner, and I'm pleased to welcome you to Healing, Hope, and Health, the program proudly brought to you by Hospice, Washington County. By now, most folks in our area know that with a great deal of support from the community, Hospice of Washington County will be breaking ground this spring for Doey's House. Doey's House, the first hospice house in our region, will provide quality end-of-life care for those who need it, not just those who can afford it. What you probably don't know is that Dorado Stone, a company based in Greencastle, PA, recently agreed to donate the stone for Doey's House. For more than 40 years, Dorado Stone has been creating projects that incorporate and reflect the best elements of design and nature. Dorado Stone is known for design features that reflect the company's passion for creating authentic living spaces. It's my pleasure to introduce Ryan Drawbaugh and Frank Guthrie of Dorado Stone and to thank them on behalf of Hospice of Washington County for their generosity. Thanks so much for being here. I'm glad you can make it. Let's see, Ryan, you are the Eastern Regional Director at Dorado Stone, and what does that mean? What do you do?
Well, I'm responsible for the sales activity for Dorado Stone from Eastern Canada to Florida. So I manage a team of sales professionals, and we work with designers and distributors throughout that territory to promote our products.
So I guess you're traveling a lot.
I'm traveling a lot, yes.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yep.
And Frank, you're the plant manager in Greencastle. What is your role?
Well, I've been employed in the Greencastle for a year now. I took over leadership of the plant. We employ 248 people at the plant in Greencastle and are happy to support the tri-state area.
That's great. And I know that Dorado Stone has been in business for 40 years. How long has the Greencastle office been there? That has not been there 40 years, right?
The Greencastle office has been there since 1993.
Okay.
Prior to 1993, it was L&S Stone in the area.
Okay. And what are some of the products that Dorado makes, or do you make it, or do you just install it?
No, we actually manufacture all the products. We have actually a wide range of materials that we offer these days. We're most known for our most believable manufactured stone veneer, and then we've branched out into what we call extension lines. We have outdoor living products, which are outdoor kitchens, fire bowls, fireplaces. We have fireplace surrounds, which are contemporary and traditional surround details.
If somebody is looking for that, would they work with an architect first, or would they work with you and then you bring in an architect?
Well, it depends. Honestly, today most things start from the website.
Okay.
A lot of designers start there and they contact us and we get involved, or if people reach out to us, sometimes we'll get them involved with our local distributors.
And what is that website?
It's eldoradostone.com.
Okay, great. Well,
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Maybe the two of you can each tell me why your company decided to get involved in supporting the Doey's House mission.
Well, I first learned of the Doey's House opportunity. We work with BFM Architects, and one of the designers there, Amy House, had mentioned about the opportunity. So I got with Frank, and I knew that Frank was familiar with the community, so he had some connections in this area.
Yeah, I had a great opportunity to be a part of Leadership Washington County, and I'm also a member of Rotary here in Hagerstown, and had an opportunity to hear Mr. Neil Glessner speak on multiple occasions and hear his passion for this project. And within Leadership Washington County, we're taught a lot to try to support the community in a good way. And when I came back to the plant one day, Ryan made me aware of this opportunity, and we talked and said, you know what? This is our opportunity to really support the community in a great way. And so we kind of made the decision to donate the stone for the project, and later we shared that with our group, and everyone's really excited to be a part of it.
That's really neat. It was just about a year or so ago when Neil announced, or 2 years ago, I guess, when Neil announced that he was going to chair a leadership committee to build Doey's House in honor of his mom, Doris Doey Glessner. And I appreciate his passion, because a lot of what he talks about is creating this hospice house for those, for everybody, not just those who can afford it. So to provide that dignity of death for everybody.
I think another significant connection for me is hearing Neil's story, and then thinking about my own life, in which both my wife's parents and my parents are Washington County residents, and thinking about maybe in the future you know, what can I do not to face the challenges that Mr. Glessner had to deal with? So it was, I guess, an eye-opening experience to hear his speech and hear his passion for the project.
That's great. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about what this stone is going to look like at Doey's house.
Well, the design of the building features a lot of long, expansive walls, and we worked with the design team at BFM and the representatives from Doey's house, and we determined we're going to use Clearwater rustic ledge, which is a linear profile, and we feel that that's going to really accent the building nicely as it runs along these low walls. We'll also do an interior fireplace as well with this product.
Okay, and how big will the fireplace be? I mean, the design's pretty much sketched out right now. Is it a two-story design? I saw on your website a beautiful two-story fireplace.
Yeah, I believe it is.
If it was going to look
yeah,
like that.
I believe it is. I had another rep working with me on that, but I know the fireplace always is the focal point for a building like this, and it brings a sense of warmth and community, and so it's a pretty popular feature in a building like this.
Just because I know that this space will be used by families who are both grieving the near death of a loved one, but also celebrating that person's life. When I was looking at the pictures on your website, I was thinking that what a beautiful way to be comforted in the surroundings of such beautiful warmth.
Yes, absolutely, and that's why this finish, the El Dorado Stone, has become so popular, is because that people want to bring that warmth and comfort of home into these other places in life that they you know, want to have that same experience.
So it's nurturing.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, thank you both so much for being here. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Certainly.
I'd like to thank Ryan and Frank for joining us today, and thank El Dorado Stone for its generous gift. As I reflect on the businesses that have stepped forward to help Hospice of Washington County build Doey's house, I am beyond grateful. I am moved. I recognize these businesses are companies led by men and women who have employees they must pay and families they must feed. Yet El Dorado Stone and others have put profit aside to assist us in making our community stronger for all. Winston Churchill said, "We make a living by what we get. We make a life by what we give." If Winston Churchill could see what's happening here in Washington County, I'm sure he'd be moved as well too. Stay with us. We'll be right back after this commercial break.
I'm the hometown favorite.
I'll outsmart you.
I will beat you.
I'll be surrounded by fans cheering me on.
There's no place like home for fighting cancer.
My turf.
My time.
My team.
Expert care, close to home. The John R. Marsh Cancer Center at Meritus Health.
Hi, I am Dr. Olenzak at the Pain and Spine Institute. I specialize in the most advanced procedures and technology available in pain management. At your visits and procedures, you will always see me for continuity of care. I would like to thank all of my patients for allowing me to provide you with the specialized care that you need. To give you this level of care requires a team. This is your team at the Pain and Spine Institute. To become a patient, call 301-739-7900 or go to painfree-md.com.
Welcome back. Please join me in welcoming Maggie Terry back to Healing, Hope, and Health. Maggie, a bereavement care specialist for Hospice of Washington County, is an experienced group leader and presenter. She facilitates ongoing monthly support groups and also presents seminars such as Coping with Grief at the Holidays. Maggie joins us today to talk about grief and to offer some suggestions for those coping with the loss of a loved one this holiday season. Welcome, Maggie. Thanks for being here.
Oh, thanks for having me.
So maybe you could tell our viewers a little bit about what folks feel when they're gathering and everybody is enjoying the merriment and the joyous expressions, and they feel a little left out. What are some of the things that they might be feeling, and what can you do to help them?
I think at this point they're feeling kind of lost, and what they thought of as normal that would be happening during the holidays has been broken, essentially, because they don't have their loved one with them to share those traditions and those really important rituals at the holidays. And you know, they're feeling a little bit lost, I think is a good way to describe that.
And what are some of the coping strategies? What helps people to feel better who are experiencing this?
I think number one is to have a good plan as to what you're going to do on the holiday. Where are you going to have your meal? Where are you going if you're going to church services? Make sure that you have a plan to, just sit home alone and pretend that, it's not happening is not a good plan, but have something in place. And also incorporate the memory of your loved one into the holiday. So if you're having a Christmas dinner, for instance, light a candle in their honor, say a prayer in their honor, something like that, so that people can share some memories and you've made your loved one a part of that tradition.
So do you recommend that people try to maintain their traditions, or should they should they totally mix it up so that the loss is not as evident, or doesn't matter? Does it depend on the person?
I think the important thing is not to try to force anything. You can't force going back the way it was, and you can't force that, everything's great and we're going to be joyful. It's important to, follow how you're feeling and to realize that, it is different now, and it's okay to maybe change the tradition this time. I know sometimes people will even just take a trip. On that first year, that first Christmas, they'll go somewhere else. And that's okay too. So it's really a matter of following your heart and having support behind you.
And maybe giving yourself permission to either do the same thing or permission to do something different and not judge yourself.
Exactly. Not to put all that pressure on yourself to try to keep everything the way it was, because it simply
different.
Isn't.
Yeah. I appreciate that. Maggie, how about for children who are grieving, what are some of the things that parents can do to help children who grieve during the holidays? Because I imagine that could be really difficult for that age kid, for kids.
It is. And it's important for parents to say the loved one's name, to share memories, to give children permission to talk about their loved one if that's what they would like to do. That's very important. You don't want children to think that you have forgotten that person, that you're not saying the name.
Right.
And then if you are going to incorporate some kind of new tradition, or you're going to honor your loved one, include your children. Maybe make a Christmas ornament together that has your loved one's picture on it. Something the children can do as well and feel like, it's okay to have our holiday and then to honor our loved one at the same time.
Yeah, that's good. That's good advice. Maggie, I know that Hospice of Washington County, the bereavement staff there, has tried to develop a couple different programs and coping ways of helping people cope. Maybe you could talk a little bit about those.
Right. I think the really wonderful thing that we do for the community, it's really an outreach, is our remembrance trees. We will be putting up a Christmas tree at each of our life centers, and we will have paper ornaments that people can come in and write a message to their loved one or write their name, and then in return we give them a small glass ornament that they take with them to hang on their own tree.
So it's a little bit, they're sharing their grief with us and we're sharing our support with them.
Yeah. So that's a wonderful thing that we offer.
We have just a few minutes,
Sure.
Maggie. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about the Luminary Project, the Pathways of the Heart.
Yes, the Luminaries, that's at the City Park, and it's when they do the tree lighting on December 4th. And we will be setting up luminaries in honor of their loved one. All they need to do is fill out a form, and they'll donate $5 to have their loved one's name read. That happens at 6 o'clock. But we will be setting up the luminary, and the money goes to our benevolence fund.
To support families who need hospice care.
Absolutely, yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being here, Maggie.
Thank you.
I'd like to thank Maggie for being here and sharing wisdom that I hope is helpful to all those who are grieving. I know it doesn't really change anything, but I once read the following words, quote, "Grief is the price we pay for love," end of quote. For some reason, I like being reminded that grief is the result of having loved deeply, of sharing joy and creating happiness. I hope this brings you some peace as well, and I encourage you to call Hospice of Washington County if you would like to participate in any of the projects that Maggie discussed. Stay tuned. We'll be right back after this short break.
People don't realize it takes a lot to care for a family member in your home. John's dad was very headstrong, so I think that was a lot for him to get over and try to come to terms with that he had terminal illness. I would recommend everybody to get hospice involved at the get-go. When you first learn about it, get it set up. It's going to make it, I mean, it's terrible what you're going through already, but it's going to make it easier for you in the long run because we couldn't have done it without them.
Call Hospice today. Hospice of Washington County, when time matters most.
From the smallest item of jewelry to the largest ceramic elephant, every 10,000 Villages handcrafted product makes a remarkable journey.
All over the world, our products travel similar paths, over thousands of miles and years of artistic tradition. Our handcrafted gifts represent work that builds villages and sustains souls. They are the dream of a better life made real. Every product is a miracle.
Welcome back to Healing, Hope, and Health. In addition to providing information about the services provided by Hospice Washington County, this program enables us to recognize community partners that generously support our efforts. I'm pleased to welcome from the Columbia Bank, Debbie Loudon, the Long Meadow branch manager, and Matt Hess, one of the bank's commercial loan officers. The Columbia Bank has a long and storied history of supporting numerous nonprofits in our community. Thanks so much for being here today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So tell me a little bit about, before we talk about your philanthropic activities, some of the personalized services that your bank provides.
The nice thing about what we provide at our bank is that we try to custom make, tailor the services to the person. So we really try to understand the relationship with the person and what their needs are.
So do you interview them and find out what they're looking for and then pick programs based on that?
Right. I mean, that's pretty much exactly what we do. We like to sit and talk with them, understand their needs, find out what their business, you know, there may be needs that they don't even know they have, but by talking to them and understanding what is necessary, then we can custom fit our products to what they need financially.
So you might have checking with no interest, or checking with no interest, or savings with interest, and a cost for ordering checks depending on your balance, and you go through all that, like how much you're going to keep in your balance and that kind of stuff.
Well, really, I was even thinking more along the lines of like a health savings account.
Okay.
In today's world with the insurance deductibles being so high, so aside, of course we do that with checking accounts, but aside from that, a lot of times there's something like that people don't realize we can help them with.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So you do health savings accounts, you do retirement accounts,
Yes.
401ks and that kind of stuff. That's great.
IRAs and health savings accounts. A 401k would be at an employer,
okay.
but we can help transfer it.
Okay.
So if someone needs to transfer it over or something.
Great.
But so along those lines.
And Matt, what do you do as a commercial loan officer?
Specifically manage commercial relationships, deposit side and the loan side. Really a relationship-driven process, kind of like what Debbie had mentioned. Sit down with customers, meet with them often, get to know what their needs are, and offer them an array of products and services that best suit exactly what it is that they do and what they need to accomplish at their business.
Okay, that's great. And Hospice of Washington County strives to provide quality end-of-life care. And your bank, which has been generous in many different ways in our community, has stepped forward to help hospice with its mission and help us to better serve the patients and families we care for. Can you tell our viewers a little bit about some of the ways your bank has supported our efforts?
Sure. We did a patio naming rights sponsorship
for
the Dewey's House.
Yeah.
Yep. We sponsored the Dewey's Dash 5K. I believe we sponsored the 35th anniversary reception and art exhibition, and just last week we were a table sponsor at the Gift of Life, and we've done that. Yeah, the Gift of Hospice, and we've done that for a few years now, I believe.
And that was a great evening because people got to hear about the services provided by hospice from the people who've actually benefited from them. So that was really a beautiful evening. The Columbia Bank also has supported other nonprofits. Maybe one of you could tell us some of the other groups that you have supported in our community.
We do support numerous nonprofits. I guess to name a few, we participate with the United Way, the Goodwill, Humane Society. Society. The list goes on and on. I think it's important to note that we've operated in this community for over 80 years as a community-oriented institution. So, we really feel an obligation to give back to the community and to let it wouldn't be possible without our customers, the individuals, the businesses, for-profit and the not-for-profits. So it's important to us that we let them know that we know what's going on, we care what's going on, and we're supporting what's going on as well. So.
Thank you both so much for being here. I appreciate it. I'd like to thank Debbie and Matt for joining us for today's episode of Healing, Hope, and Health, and thank the Columbia Bank for all the way it works to strengthen our community. The bank's website says, quote, "Our commitment goes beyond just providing quality banking and financial services. The Columbia Bank also supports local organizations through contributions and sponsorships and participates in many volunteer efforts," end of quote. I know this to be true, and Hospice of Washington County is grateful for their support. We'll be right back after this short break.
Arbors Carson Jewelers has been your community jeweler for over 110 years. We have the region's largest selection of diamonds, designer jewelry, including bridal, gold, and silver fashion jewelry, and fine Swiss timepieces. We strive to combine quality, expert personal attention, and affordable financing to create an exceptional shopping experience aimed at exceeding your expectations. At Carson's Jewelers, there's something for everyone that will bring a smile to that someone special in your life.
I'm the hometown favorite.
I'll outsmart you.
I will beat you.
I'll be surrounded by fans cheering me on.
There's no place like home for fighting cancer.
My turf.
My time.
My team.
Expert care, close to home. The John R. Marsh Cancer Center at Meritus Health. From the smallest item of jewelry to the largest ceramic elephant, every 10,000 villages handcrafted product makes a remarkable journey.
All over the world, our products travel similar paths, over thousands of miles and years of artistic tradition. Our handcrafted gifts represent work that builds villages and sustains souls. They are the dream of a better life made real. Every product is a miracle.
People don't realize it takes a lot to care for a family member in your home. John's dad was very headstrong, so I think that was a lot for him to get over and try to come to terms with that he had terminal illness. I would recommend everybody to get hospice involved at the get-go. When you first learn about it, get it set up, it's going to make it, it's terrible what you're going through already, but it's going to make it easier for you in the long run because we couldn't have done it without them.
Call Hospice today. Hospice of Washington County, when time matters most.
Welcome back. I'm glad you're still with us. I wish it were possible for all of you to meet our next guest in person, but since it's not, I am honored to introduce to you Faye Metz, Hospice of Washington County's longest-serving volunteer. Faye participated in early volunteer training in 1984 and has volunteered for 31 years. Now that's a lot of volunteering. At Hospice of Washington County's recent 35th anniversary celebration, Faye was recognized for her long-standing commitment and dedication to the organization. She joins us today to share some thoughts on her long volunteer career, and I hope her words of wisdom inspire others to get involved too. Welcome, Faye.
Hello.
Hi, thanks for being here. Before I ask you specifically about your volunteer service with Hospice of Washington County, I was wondering, do you have a philosophy that encouraged you or something you learned as a kid to get involved and stay involved?
I think so. Yeah. My mother was a teacher by example. She was a widow with 7 kids, me being the youngest. And we always had to do for somebody else. That was the big thing in our life. You have got to give back. You've got to give back. And then I had read about hospice, and I think it started in England. And I had read about the hospice concept and happened to be on a job one day, and at lunch I was reading the paper and saw an article about a training session and said, oh, I think I want to try this.
And that was back in 1984?
And I did, and that was in '84, and I was hooked, and I'm still here.
That's great. And did you take additional training? I think you were mentioning earlier that you took additional training.
Well, I then retook the training in 1995 because I was hearing on team meetings and gatherings that we had for those volunteers, and I was hearing words that I didn't remember hearing before. So I thought things had changed.
Right. And
I
so
better catch up.
You were staying current. That's great. That's great. Can you tell us about some of the volunteering activities that you've done over the years?
Oh, mercy.
Just some of them.
You know, it entails a lot. It entails going into the home, but doing what they need. It's what they need. And when we started out, we were testing the waters. So you just went and talked to them and asked what their needs were. So you helped do dishes and you helped dust. And I would go to the bank for one of my patients over the years and that kind of thing. But let me say to anybody that is interested at all or get interested, it's not depressing. It is very, very rewarding.
Right.
Very rewarding. You will find that you will feel twice as good as what that patient did when you left.
Wow. So you get as much as or more?
I think.
Receive as much as or more than you give. That's great.
I think.
Do you have any special fond memories for the patients you've served? I mean, is there anybody that stands out in your mind that you call that it makes you feel, that gives you a good feeling?
Oh, yes. My first case was of another culture, and at that time they didn't have, the doctors just put you with hospice. She, I think it was 6 months back then, but she lived for 9 months, and that lady never took a pain pill.
Wow. Wow.
And I can tell you, the halo that I thought might have been on my head when I walked in that door because of what I was going to do, it dissipated real quick. Really quick.
She had the halo on.
Yes, she absolutely did. And that was the beginning. The strength that I gained from her was unreal. And I can name many, many others. I like both areas of hospice, the caregiving while the patient is ill, but I also like grief recovery. I like seeing that loved one or that family come back and go forward with their life.
And did you volunteer in the bereavement and grief portion of the organization
Oh, yes.
too?
Oh,
Okay.
yes.
I didn't realize that.
Sometimes I had 2 grief recovery people while I had a case, an active case.
Right.
Yes. And again, that's why I'm saying it can't be depressive. The one I remember, I didn't get to the patient. I was to go to her on the 4th of July. I called and a child answered and said that whoever I was to ask for, the daughter, was not there, that they were at the funeral home. And I thought, oh no, something's happened. Well, I left a message and she called me, the daughter called me back. And I said, well, would you be interested in my coming over and being with your father? I said, perhaps that would make him feel better. She said, oh, yes. What an experience. I walked in. You would have thought he knew me from ever. And he had 3 photo albums on the coffee table. I sit beside of him, and we went through all of them.
Oh, that's great. So you were a real comfort.
And then, you know, you try to get him out to do things, and so I took him out to lunch later. And after about the 3rd time of us going out to lunch, he said, would you do something for me? I said, well, I surely will if I can. He said, well, would you ride in my truck with me and I'll drive this time?
So that's great. So he became a friend as well.
Yes,
That's
yes.
great.
And he later on remarried, and he was quite an interesting person.
Well, thank you so much for joining us and sharing your memories with us and encouraging people to get involved. I'm grateful to Faye for her many years of dedicated volunteer service to Hospice Washington County, and her commitment has strengthened the organization and touched the hearts of many patients and families in our community. She gives of herself willingly without counting the cost. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.